Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first full day of Sleeping 2025. Thank you for being here so early in the morning. I have the pleasure of introducing Judith Jubb to you. She is a lifelong clairvoyant, spiritual healer, and teacher who has dedicated her career to exploring human consciousness and multidimensional realities. With a lifetime of experience in telepathic contact and intuitive development, she serves as a guide through expanded states of awareness and interdimensional understanding. Judith's work bridges astrophysical discovery with exploration of quantum and metaphysical dimensions. Drawing from her extensive research fields, Judith shares first-hand accounts of individuals who have reported contact experiences with off-world intelligences, ranging from UFO and UAP sightings to telepathic transmission. Judith also has a guided meditation CD available. Please welcome Judith Jubb.
Good morning. She took some of my power away. I was going to say thank you for being here so early, but she already did that. Anyway, I'm glad that we're all here. I'd like to take a little bit of time to get focused and centered, me and you. And I'm going to ask you to kind of get in your meditation, sitting close with both feet on the floor. You can leave your eyes open or your eyes closed. I don't care which. Whatever you feel comfortable with, just get relaxed. And we're going to take a little bit of time to get grounded because we're on the planet Earth. And we've been here because the mineral content, the biology, everyone has been set here for us for millions and millions of years. And we are at the apex of this wonderful evolution process. There are actually two different kinds of evolution going on simultaneously for us. One is the DNA, cellular, physical evolution process. And as we probably know, everybody seems to have access to this information these days with the internet. Some of it is correct and some of it is not. We listened last night to the Smithy story and realized that some of that was not correct. And so we're trying to get centered and focused and go on from here into the future with the right information. Now, I've been doing this a long time. Now, this particular story, it says contact from beyond our world. I've taught various intuition enhancement courses in the Northwest. And my last husband was a colonel in the Army Air Force. First, he was a captain of a fighter plane squadron. And he had his own experiences, which I do have that on here. And then he was promoted and went to Area 51 and was in charge of inventory from extradition. And his first wife, was a channel. Now, I know we can kind of get a little fussy about that, but she had an off-world teacher who came to her in altered state of consciousness. She could see him sometimes. He would present himself. He would concentrate his energy into a type of matter that human beings could actually perceive. But most of the time, he was basically invisible. She could feel his energy, and she knew when he was there. Can you have the big stay? This is the thing. I've been a clairvoyant all my life. I was born this way. I'm very sensitive to energy currents. I not only can feel them, like dowsing for water or dowsing frenetic energies, geopathic energies and such, which I did with my husband. But I also can see, and I see in color. For instance, each one of you here in this room has a personal energy field that's specific to you, to who you are, and your experiences, good and bad, and your emotions, and the etheric body I will be talking about a little bit later on. But what you need to know right now as you sit in these chairs is we are actually sharing space. And your space probably extends out maybe 4 or 5 feet. If you have low energy, may not be that much. But for the most part, our personal energy fields are overlapping each other. So here we are. We are creating a space in here, thanks to Carrie and the helpers and whatever they might be. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be here and share some of this information with you. Now, when Carrie first approached me about talking, he said, oh, let's talk about metaphysics. Meta meaning beyond, and physical, of course, physical. This comes from the Latin, and many of you are metaphysicians in your own right. If we're shaman or sorcerers, you probably are into metaphysics. If you are a psychic, if you are a tarot card reader, if you are an astrologer, all these people we think of as being beyond the physical. And I'd like to make a correction here too about the word or the phrase extraterrestrial, ESP. In the field, we call this extended sensory perception because we were born through our DNA. We have the same kind of sensitivities to heat and light and dark and emotions, happiness, anger, whatever somebody else might be shifting into. We are all sensitive to that if we pay attention. And it's all about focusing your attention. So what happens is, as far as people like abductees, contactees, people who have experiences that can't explain, need help, understanding, they come to somebody like me who sees what's happening in the energy field and who can describe, and I usually paint pictures, some of them are on here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through, like, I pulled my files, and I thought metaphysics I can't possibly cover in 90 minutes. But what I can do is pulling out some of my clients and some people who've come to me for help and assistance. I pulled my files that are people who have experiences with extraterrestrial contact of some kind. Some of them are good, some of them are not so friendly. But there are a lot more friendly contacts in the telepathic and remote viewing experience than there are in the physical experience. And some of us are really dense that we need somebody to pound us on the head and say, hey, look, we're here. Because they've been here, they've always been here. Now, this is a multi-dimensional planet. It's not just three-dimensional. And there are people here that can see more or feel more than the 3 dimension. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the etheric body, because if your senses go out, the physical health is only about this far off a typical person off your physical material body. But if you're an athlete, your energy is probably much higher than that in your physical. And then beyond the physical is the emotional body, and that changes and fluctuates, of course, with our emotions. And after that is the causal body or the mental body. And we have access to telepathy with other beings in the universe through the causal plane, which translates the information from these areas. And people talk about the Akashic record, and it's a huge library. It surrounds planet Earth. If you are sensitive, you can have access. It's like you can go down this row of information and plug into it, or you go down another one. And depending on the kind of information you use in your life, if you're a healer, if you work with plants, if you work with animals, that's the kind of information you go to. And it's easy to do. You get in a meditated state, you relax, and you listen. That's all there is to it. I'm going to do a little demonstration here with y'all. So if you're sitting, and let's get grounded a little bit. And this is an introductory, and I'll go. You should really, I won't take a lot of time, but let's close our eyes and take 3 deep breaths. In and out, expand the lungs. Now, the expansion of the lungs is lateral, horizontal. It is not so much down into your belly. What you're doing is you're relaxing your diaphragm, which separates the pulmonary or the lung aspect from your abdomen, which is digestion. So what you're doing is flexing your abdomen. It feels like you're taking the air into your stomach and on lower. But what you're really doing is just expanding the diaphragm. And we're going to be taking big breaths and expanding laterally because our rib cage can hold all of our lung backside. For that's what you're going to focus on right now is taking deep breaths. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, hold, out, close. In, hold, out, close. Longer and longer, opening and expanding, opening and expanding. Getting that oxygen, fresh, beautiful Colorado mountain air into your lungs, which goes into your bloodstream, which awakens all of the different parts of our bodies. And we're just going to feel that happening. We can feel it. We can feel the blood coursing through this beautiful life form. We can feel all the enlightenment here. We have access to this life form here. Feel it within you, feel it around you, feeling it in this full space, this tent. Feel it, all of us together doing this. Breathing in and out, becoming grounded. We have our feet on the ground firmly. This is our world. We were sent here. We were sent here to learn and grow. We were sent here to help others. We were sent here to be here now. We have a part to play. Believe in yourself. Believe in reality. That's what intuitional development is all about. Trusting yourself. Trusting your perception. Jesus. Okay, take a deep breath. Keep on going a little bit longer. hold your concentration if you can. Pay attention to everything that's happening within you, within your life form, your physical Homo sapiens body, and your soul that has invested in. Your soul may have come from very far away, but it's here now, and it's here for a reason. And what I'm going to be doing this morning is sharing some wonderful examples of human beings who are manifesting the destiny. Okay. And why? Is everybody rounding out while the feeling's never good, full, whole, means everything. Spirit, mind, body, emotions, all together. Right here, right? Good. All right. I guess we'll start the program.
Okay.
So,
Thank
yeah, go ahead next. That's anyways. Earth, of course, that's where we are. We're on Earth. This is a beautiful place to be. This planet was very important to the galaxy and to the quadrant of the universe where we are, and to the rest of the universe, actually. Now, we're not the only planet, like Mark was saying last night. There's lots of planets who have opportunity for light and activity and growth. But this one is important here. Earth is here for the evolution of souls. And our lifespans are so short, we can pass on our wisdom through generation. That's what we do. So every one of us who's a parent is a teacher. Every one of us who's in a community has something to offer that community. All right, it's written golden. Okay, so actually, what I wanted to talk about, and what I've been talking during it, is how many people do we have in Newfoundland here this morning? 5. Hi. I happen to know the lady who was the founder of UFO. Now, you don't hear about it, like Mark said last night. There's a lot of unsung heroes. This is Marion Child. And let's see if you know when we say child. I don't know, she'll be on next to now. But Marilyn Child, I'll just say this and then I'll introduce you to her later. Marilyn Childs is a genius, and she made some of the very first robots. They were funny little things that went click them along and would go turn left and right and pick up things and do whatever you want. This is clear back in the late 50s, early 1960s. Her master's degree was in a phrase she coined herself that we're using all the time now, and that was astroarchaeology. Archaeoastronomy. And when we talk about ancient cultures and their connection with the rest of the galaxy, that's what she was studying way back there in the 1960s. And we won't shit out Archaea, probably because she's a woman. But say that word again. Archaeoastronomy. Archaeo comes from archaeology, which is ancient cultures. And then astronomy is why we're here today. It's for astronomy. And you can call it and leave off the first word, which is astro, the first syllable, I guess, and call it archaeoastronomy. Maybe you've heard that more. But this has been going on for a long time, and there are people who are studying crop-circles. My friend Mark and Julie have been doing some wonderful work in telepathy. Now, telepathy travels just like that. The problem is we have to translate it into a vocabulary in order to communicate with other human beings. And sometimes there isn't the right word in English or Russian or anything else. And it's real hard to try and explain these things. I was talking to people at Tesla, one of Tesla's conventions back in 2011. And he would say, we get these images of wonderful inventions, but we don't have the materials here on Earth developed chemically or minerals and so forth to make the materials to make these inventions work here yet. And we have to start at the foundation level just to find the material to put together the inventions that these other planet cultures around the galaxy are able to use. And they're sending us the information. Oh, we just can't find it here yet. So this is ongoing evolution, development, every day. Every day is a new day. And we need to feel optimistic about this because there's so much going on in the world that we hear about on the news that is not nice. But I want you to know there's wonderful things going on. And you can be part of that. So be yourself. Use your intuition. You're probably receiving messages from off-world right now. You're probably, every night you dream, you see a vision of something, write it down. I'm really an advocate for dream diaries. And if you have a waking vision, write it down. I have a friend that I love very much, and he was, he's a great man. He had 5 college degrees, everything from legal to being a football star when he was on campus. And to tell you the truth, he started receiving information from Metatron and never wrote a thing down.
But
And, there's no way he can, share these experiences now because they're gone. I mean, our memories are not that good. We're pretty good as human beings, but we're just not perfect yet. So write down your inspirations in art or music. We call it the muses of the arts.
yeah,
But actually, I think these people that they can be and might very well be interdimensional beings from the Earth. We have a lot of interdimensional and extra-dimensional beings floating around. And you can contact the diva of a locality. You can contact a flower entity. You can contact and work with the plants and the spirits that work within the plants, like ayahuasca or something like that. But you can also extend out from the planet and say, hi, I'm here. I'd like some information, and probably get it from somebody in the region, not on the planet, but in the region. Okay, let's see.
I gotta go on character.
So when I'm talking, you can go ahead and look at these pictures on the screen and read. I'm not going to baby feed you. You're going to have your own. Yeah. I'm not going to, you know how to read, right? Okay. So you can and see what's going on there, and then I'll be talking about something else because 90 minutes is not long. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what else is coming up here.
Yes, let's output.
Okay, the Pleiades. Now we're all familiar with the Pleiades. I handed out some side charts last night. I talked a little bit about Lyra. The constellation is right overhead this month. And that whole system, if you look at it through a telescope, you'll see nebulae and baby star nurseries and all kinds of things. And every one of those stars, like Rick said last night, has planets. And every one of those planets, there's got to be some of them that have intelligent life on them. And some of us here think that we came from a different star system. A lot of cultures think that they came from the Pleiades. Their ancestors came from the Pleiades. I met a lady in Laughlin at the International, International Congress, for International UFO Congress. She had tracked down her spirit home planet. It was so far away in a different part of the galaxy that we don't even know the name of the planet, but she tracked it down. And how is this done? That through telepathic contact without praying. Now you can say, oh, this is a story and we don't know and we don't have any facts to prove it. Well, telepaths and intuitives, they're kind of beyond just facts. They have spiritual beliefs. They have faith. And that means that they're that extended part of their awareness that we all have. They trust that intuition. They use it. And you can too. And many of you probably think you are from another planet or constellation. Now, we found out that these Pleiades are not stars, they're galaxies. And in ancient classical myths, they're considered sisters or, beautiful women that all cluster together and were like priestesses in ancient culture or something like that. And many people feel drawn to that concept. And if that inspires you to be strong and to be doing what you're supposed to do, I think that's a wonderful idea. And so even if you don't believe it's a fact, you don't have to believe it's a fact. You can just love it for what it is. It's an inspiration, a point of inspiration for you to go on. But it's time. All right. Now the Pleiades happen to be in Taurus. And in the wintertime, you can see this a little better, or in the fall. Taurus is a constellation, large constellation, very important constellation. How many people were born in May? How many people do we have any Taurusans here in the zodiac? Nobody's a Taurus? That's Lizzie. There she is. Okay. Now, don't you feel drawn that some of your energy comes from that place in your psyche or in your DNA? Don't you feel that being a Taurus means something? You can draw on that strength. And we have thousands of teachers throughout ages of time that use the energy that you have. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So Taurus is really right above Orion. So we can see Orion now. Right? All right. And let's see, what else do we have on there? There's Orion. A lot of people identify with the belt of Orion. Did you come from there? Maybe you did. Your soul home. That's your spirit home, your soul home. You can use that and draw on that power. All right, let's go on to this. This is how we do things in Clairvoyance. We seek into way back far. It's called farsight. You can go back beyond history. You can go forward into the future with clairvoyant thought connections. And you can see, we are not just limited to the here and now. Why? Because we have cellular memory, we have genetic memory. We carry the memory of our ancestors that have been on the planet here for a long, long time. Some of us are pretty new. Some of us are quote-unquote new souls, we call them. But a lot of us here in MUFON and other associations like this, we know we've been around a long time. Our soul has been around a long time. And you probably have memories you haven't even gleaned yet. And this is a beautiful nebula. You hear this Orion Nebula. I had a vision in the early 90s when the first Gulf War started. It was of this nebula. And I researched it. And there's a galloping black horse galloping over the desert sand. And this nebula is in the background. And these energies from this nebula, and believe you me, this is not peaceful energy. This is strong, powerful, warlike energy. And that we are picking up, we have been picking up that energy from all those millions of miles away. And we're being influenced by the rest of the galaxy. Whether we like the idea, maybe we think we're autonomous. We're not. So much of what we do here, we do because we and our bodies are being sensitive enough that we're picking up vibration. And I talk about waves and frequency and vibration. And then we get into quantum. Quantum mechanics. I was just talking to a quantum physicist down in Togosa Spring. Real brilliant point. And she says, it's the space between waves and particles. You remember that test where they have these, is this a cat in a box? Is this cat alive or dead? And we don't know until we open the box. Sure. So that's a simple demonstration. But the quantumness of that, we have access to that in our mind. Thought forms, this quantum energy. It's a thought wave like an energy wave, but then it's particle also. And I can demonstrate that for a minute. So we have the God of War. That's what I was just talking about, right? Okay. Now, why do we consider, was Mars the planet called Mars? Was the planet called Mars, or was the God Mars first? What is the God? And who is the God? And what did these ancient peoples, what were they connecting with in spiritual reality? Okay, this is one of my favorites. How many Leos do we have? Do we have a Leo particular? Okay. Do you think about being a Leo? Do you think about that energy that you're getting, that strength? This is one of the major cardinal 4 constellations. It's Taurus and Leo and Scorpio and Aquarius. And these ancient peoples could identify through these energy, and they would use them. If you're Aquarius, of course, you're creative, inventive, you can draw on that power because it's real. It's really real. All right, should be. It's the same with all the other planets, the constellation, the Scorpio. What's interesting about Saturn is that was one of the older gods. And how many planets how many moons does Saturn have? How many moons? Did anybody know? I think it's
That's 20.
yeah, it's a huge number. And then mostly they live within the wonderful God. Have you ever seen this in the telescope? Yes. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, when you see it in real life, that's what's good.
Mm-hmm.
When you see this planet in real life at the end of a telescope, it's like magic. It really is like magic. Now, these things, yeah, we can see them, but there's so much about these that we can't see. The energy of Saturn, gosh. The energy of Saturn goes far beyond Saturn. the energy of Jupiter goes far beyond what we see as the planet. These constellations are here for us. If we were on another planet in another part of the galaxy, because of the idea of parallax, which Mark talked a little bit about last night, depending on your perspective, you wouldn't see these constellations. But these are ours. They define where we are in the galaxy and in the universe.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, so in this photo, you can kind of see on one side of the galaxy, and he comes up now. You can see him in some time. She's down on the lower horizon. But as you notice, it's on one side of the galaxy arm, the Milky Way, as people call it, and Sagittarius is on the other side. And it looks like that Sagittarius, the centaur, is shooting an arrow into the heart of Scorpio. And the heart of Scorpio is a red giant star. That's what it is. And Leo has a heart made of a red giant, and Scorpio has a heart of a red giant. And the red giant in Taurus is in his eye. You can see these colors. You can see them. And Aquarius doesn't have a red giant, but Aquarius is the constellation of man. And we're supposed to be the evolved man in that particular constellation. So you can figure these things. Let's go ahead. There's the meteor shower. We just had the Perseus meteor shower in August. August was real active month.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to talk. Let's see where we go from here. There must be something else. UFO. Here we are. Here's the UFO and broad daylight. These other things are examples of how they've been around. Do we get the other one? No, it's this one picture. What's the other one? Yeah. I was in Hopi and I went to a wonderfully huge horseshoe-shaped canyon. And on the walls, some of these pictures are not there. The one up faces, spirit faces, is from Australia, probably recognize. Some of them are other places, but we find these images in petroglyphs all over the planet. And so people have been seeing these forever on this pedestal because they're J-Cum-Shop. Okay, this is the temple of Delphi. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Now, why was this here? Does anybody know what the temple of Delphi in Greece is? This is a place where we had wonderful psychic intuitive priestesses who would come and sit in special places, and whether they were in an altered state because of some chemical gases, doesn't matter. It put them in touch with wisdom. And this went on for really thousands of years. This has been going on. And it's in the mountains, but it's a special energy place on the planet. So if we talk about Earth energy, Gaia is the living entity of the planet Earth. And these energies crisscross and connect. And we have intersections of energies, and we have bad energy that we don't want to be in a certain place because the energies are off. And then we have a place like this. And Delphi, it's extraordinary energy for the planet, the life of the planet, for human beings, and beyond. All right, can you see two sides? Got it. Now, I met Nick Nazzarino at a Dousers conference in Santa Cruz. And he had, of course, shows the head's skull sometime, and he studied skulls and has written several books. And we talked about what happens when you have contact with a crystal skull. And it really is amazing. I got hooked into a rose quartz skull, and I couldn't remove my hand. I mean, the energy was so powerful, I couldn't get off. And I had to have someone else come and break the connection. And that's what I mean. If you're really sensitive, you could feel these things. And Nick has done all of this traveling. And then we go to these crop circles, which is coming up. Now, this picture on the, I don't know if it shows, which one is it? Okay. Ross Dietrichson had access to all kinds of planes that he had been a pilot. And he went to crop circles and took photos. And actually, I don't know if you can see it, but the energy floats above the crop circle on the ground. And I'll tell you a funny experience. I was going to a Galaxies conference in Santa Cruz with him, and he pulls off the highway, and he turns down some dirt road in the middle of nowhere. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "You just wait, just wait." And there had been a crop circle that was formed south of Sacramento, and he fell into it because he had been around so many crop circles. It's like he was attuned to the energy of a crop circle. And this one hadn't even been recorded to the newspapers or anything. He was just guided by this affinity of vibration. And we get to the crop circle, and there are very few people there. We get back the next morning, and by then the newspapers were all there and so on. But we had a couple of people. One lady had a window, and she says, "What am I supposed to be doing with this?" And I said, "Well, you just hold it and you ask your question, and you will feel what the answer is." And one guy with long hair walked up to me and he said, "Is this real?" And I said, "Yes, this is real." And I came back with a sunburn. I heard of this radiation belly from a crop circle. I was just there a short time the day before, but I ended up with a sunburn because of that. And that's what I'm saying. Carl Dietrichson could feel this stuff, and he'd go all around the world and record some of these things. So that's what I'm talking about. This subtle energy is what it's called. Now, subtle energy does not mean soft. It does not mean weak. What it means is that you have to feel it. You have to be aware of it. It's not in your face, American football, rah, rah, and rah. It's subtle. It's subtle. And you have to be wakened up. And each of us has a special time of awakening. And it may be a traumatic experience like how in my wheel crash, but it also may be something subtle, like you'll look at a flower and all of a sudden smell the essence of it. You never smelled that easily before, but hear the roots talking as they reach into the earth. And extraterrestrials, or I call them off-worlders, and I don't call them aliens because I figure we're all from someplace else. I figure if we go back far enough, we will notice, we will find where our solar home is. I call it solar, S-O-U-L. They call it solar home. Now, people say, well, what's this discrepancy with Native Americans? Well, I worked 10 years with the Hopi. And yes, they were asked to go under the earth for their protection during the time of great crisis on the surface. And they were drawn underground by extraterrestrials. And I'll tell you a story about this. Nancy happened to be a girl that was lived in McCurdy on the side of Mount Shasta. Do you know that one yet?
we struck in his eyes of guns. The killed
in the gap. So anyway, in the middle of the night, she was awakened by 3 beings, tall, elegant, in robes, standing at the foot of her bed. And she was a little girl. And they started speaking to her, and they told her about her destiny as a great dancer with Martha Graham Dance Studio. And she became famous in the 1940s. She could leap across the stage higher than most of the male dancers. That's how strong she was. But she was told by 3 beings that came and stood at the edge of her bed and told her this when she was telling. And to tell you the truth, this is the truth. Now, I'm not making this up. But she said, where are you from? And I said, well, right now we're living inside Mount Shasta, but we come from elsewhere. Now, this is what I'm talking about, this multi-dimensional planet thing. They were from off-world, and they had been living in this mountain for ages, who knows how long. And these beings are here. These beings, they're interacting with us all the time. We just have to pay attention. We just have to. Okay, bye-bye. What do we have? We have Billy Meyer. Okay, how many people know with Billy Meyer? A few. Okay. All of a sudden, we're not hearing about him, but he had a female guide from off-world that he spoke with. They had an intimate relationship. He's from Central Europe in the 1940s and 50s. He was talking to an extraterrestrial who came to him and walked with him, really, in physical form. Now, how does this happen? Well, we're talking about quantum energy again. We're talking about a higher being from a different realm, from a different planet, being able to concentrate vibrations, frequency waves into matter. That's what we're talking about. And some of our great master teachers are able to do this. Jesus is said to have done this. He may very well have done it. We know that Krishna did this. We know that people can manifest, some beings can manifest in what looks like a physical body. It's maybe not quite as dense as our human forms, but it's close. It's close enough that we can see them and they appear solid. And then they can depart. And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about seeing UFOs that blink out and blink on and are there and not there. That's what we're talking about. Matter, waves, energy. It's science. It's not just fantasy. These things actually happen here. Maybe we can't do it, but just because you and I can't do it doesn't mean somebody else can. So the great master teacher, and so we have these teachers, and they're here on Earth to talk and to teach, and that we can grow and learn from it. Now, is this something? Okay, here we go. Dietrichson Ross is on to the right in the picture. This is an early picture of him. I was talking about him with a crop circle. I'm talking about him before. And who's the other one? Wendell Stevens. You know him? You should know him from MUFON. Now, Wendell Stevens, they're both colonels. One of them was my husband. And this was before my time. He's a lot older than I. That's a young picture of him. That's a World War II picture of him. But he's the same age as, or approximate, as Wendell Stevens. They're both gone to a higher commission somewhere else. And I was right there in the church when Ross just flew over me like a flyby in his spirit as he departed this realm. It was really quite interesting. And my girlfriend, who was a shaman, she said, what was that? And I said, it was Ross. He just came by. I said, so long. I'm on my way to the stars. And he probably was. But he and Colonel Wendell Stevens, I don't even know. I couldn't manage to Tony Powell. They write letters. I have some of the correspondence, but I'll tell you, it looked like sightings to me. But I think they were communicating telepathically. They were in sync on some level because they'd both been exposed to UFOs. They'd both been exposed to extraterrestrial. You see, Dr. Greer, we all know him, right? Steve, okay. Dr. Greer interviewed Ross in 2003 for Nexus Magazine. Nexus Magazine, how many people know that? I mean, people, yes? Okay. In 2003, now I read the interview, and I honestly didn't know what they were talking about. But that's the way it comes. I think a lot of the information has passed vibrationally. That's the difference between being with a living teacher and just reading out of the book somewhere. It's the vibration, the energy is transferred, hopefully. And you may get it, and you may not get it. And it may be in your subconscious mind. Bingo. All of a sudden, 2 years later, you're awake. Something triggered that awakening. And it might have been that teacher. So that's what I'm talking about here. Now, let's go on to see some of the Cheyenne Mountains. I grew up not far from Cheyenne Mountain. In fact, my vision quest I went on when I was 21 was not far from NORAD. These are pictures of NORAD. Oh, it's Area 51. Area 51 is okay. Written in, I thought in the Dr. Yes, going. Dr. Stephen Jacob, David Tick. Okay, these people I'm talking about are real people. And you can be one of them. You can be doing your own thing. You can do your own research. You can have your own experiences. You can grow and evolve in a spiritual way. So that's what I'm talking about. There are several different kinds of evolution going on here. And just have to be, following your path. Following your path. Where does your path lead? If you really want to know about yourself. And you go back to there. Okay. Ross was in Area 51 in the 1950s and 60s. Taking care of the inventory of extraterrestrial. Why? Because he'd been a pilot. He had his own UFO contact. And he doesn't talk about it. And even in this interview, he doesn't say anything, just smiles, And of course he was programmed not to talk about these things. But that's what happened. This has all been shut down. The military tells you, don't talk about it. You're not really seeing. It's not real. Now, it is real. It's very, very real. And Area 51, I went to Pagosa and some person said to me, Area 51 doesn't exist. It's all made up. Hello? My husband was there for years. You're telling me it's not real. And that's silly. So, that's the house back. Anyway, these are real people. And this Mother of God, Mary Mother of God, is connected to spirit. And I was talking about multiple dimensional. There's NORAD. That's where is it? Doesn't come up on the screen here. That's NORAD. Okay. There we go. All right. Now, these military guys like the Nazis, they wanted to know all this information. They wanted to have all this power, access to this power. That's what's going on in the United States. That's what's going on right now. We're talking about war. We're talking about power. We're talking about, making sure that we get the most and the best. That's a selfish response, and it's short-sighted. It's short-sighted because the more people who have knowledge, who share the information, the better the world will be. That's just the way it is. And to covet it and to hold it from other people is really not very smart in the long run. It's a short-sighted vision. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Are we looking at the pyramid? How many people been to the pyramid? You should go. I don't know what it's like now. I know there's 1,000 people every day visit them now. I went way back as I was called to go. I was called telepathically. You need to go. The star people are having a tour. It's only for star people. You recognize star person. They need to go. And we went. And we did a ceremony inside the pyramid. And the reason that I did the ceremony was because I was listening to my clairvoyance, to extraterrestrials who've been here for thousands of years, who are saying you need to go and awaken the energies in the pyramid. More people need to have this information. I have a good friend, Vic. And Vic is a hippie, long-haired drug dealer, and he also is a mathematical genius who came up to formulating a formula, 40 pages long formula, based on numbers and the measurements from the pyramid, because he was measuring it in a different way than anybody had done before. And all of a sudden he gets a call from NASA. This is just a few years ago. And they said, how did you come up with this? Where are you going with this? We need the information. Parts of this is, I believe, on the internet. I don't think he put up his whole thing. And he's very eccentric and a loner. I mean, he doesn't want a lot of visitors. All of a sudden, after NASA caught on to him, he got bugged by people from everywhere, and he shut down entirely. But there you go. These people are all around us, and all you have to do, they come to me and they share their experience because they feel comfortable. They know that I will understand and I will believe them. I won't think they're crazy. I won't think they're making it up. It's real because I can see it in the energy field. Now, do we have a picture of the next big age? There he is. Okay, how many people go from the bed? Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, you want to tell us who he is?
Please, his father disappeared on an airplane. He was a congressman or senator.
Yes.
And him and another guy disappeared, and they never found him. And he saw this was, I don't know if his brother was a senator or something, or he was a professor, but it's from Alaska.
Yeah.
But that's what I know.
Well, Nick decided he was going to experiment with sound waves. And he has made an invention where if you can't hear well, if you're deaf, can put this on your wrist, and the vibrations go through your body straight to your brain. You don't have to have a hair dance. You don't have to. There's that word audio dominant. It goes through the brain of what they do, and the connection from the nervous system. And he also was instrumental in waking us up to electrical energies that really aren't that beneficial for your population. And that's what all these coming started. But he was kind of Alaska, he should write about it. And
So that's hard.
yeah. He got interested in what was happening to the fishes in the sea, the whales were responding badly, and so forth. So we still have vibrations. I walked up and talked to him. He was giving a talk in Sedona, and I said, there's some kind of stuff turning in drilling noise, and it's everywhere. I thought, it's not just the Dow's home. It's not just in California. It's not just in upper state New York. this is everywhere. What is it? And he said, we've been trying. You're not the only person who's told me about it. Some people can't sleep at night. It's low frequency waves. Not everybody can hear it. But he says, this stuff is going on. And we don't know if it's military or if it's extraterrestrial. But we know that they're drawing. And so be aware, if you hear some of this, on the television or wherever, June 5. And we do have good people like Ned trying to do research into it. And he said, I don't know much about it, and I haven't heard anybody tell me they can hear it. He says, it keeps people awake at night. They can't move. All of a sudden it shuts off, and your body's quiet, and your cells are still, and your molecules, and you fall asleep at 4 a.m., which doesn't give you much before daylight and workday. But if you're responding to this, it's not you. It's coming from someplace else. And Ross has all this high-tech recording equipment, and he had a special microphone. He said, tell me when you hear it. I came running out of my room, and I said, okay, it's on now. And he did. He can record this sound, but it's extra low frequency, and it hits on a cellular level. And I believe things happen. I believe that your body's changed. Certainly, if you don't get enough sleep, your brain is changed. You have to be careful what you eat. You have to shield. And I just usually get up and do something constructive, like my taxes. But anyway, these things are going on, and we're not sure if they're extraterrestrial or, I guess they're made by some organization on the planet here, but it's going on underground. Okay, let's see. Do we have anything? All right, this is Marilyn Charles. I was speaking to you about one of the founders of UFO. These are the early pictures of it. My father knew her. My husband knew her. I came to her house, and she said, okay, I've been a contactee all of my life. I'm fourth generation contactee from Central Europe. And she says, my body just has all these problems all the time. And she says, I don't know if that has made me sensitive or what, but this happens a lot. So these are the kind of pictures I see of the esoteric body of a human being. She was in her 60s when I painted this picture. This is really not a nice picture. This shows she has lung trouble. It shows that she has acute pain and lethargy. It shows that it's in her astral body. Then it comes from outside. And it also goes down her legs and causes her a lot of leg pain. And she has to be very, very careful. This dark light that comes off the top of her head, that usually signifies scientific information from elsewhere. This energy is coming into her, not from an angel, but maybe from Metatron Collective or something, because she's the one I told you did some of the earliest robots, because I showed that. So usually I can tell. Now, that's what I see. Now look at someone. Here's another person on the other side. Okay, this is the shaman. He's an inventor, Bill Russell. And some of these configurations on him, he's got the light bike. Oh, it's the wrong way. Let me see. There it is. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm him. We'll go back to you. Listen. But that's the way his aura looks. Now, you see how filled with light he is? And do you see that tiny shadow off in the upper corner here? That's what other spirits look like. This is quick. I just paint these sketches really quick. And then I'd interpret it for people. And he wanted to know, where did he get his healing skill? He can bend metal. This has how many people here can bend metal. Anyway, try bending a spoon or anything? He did. Okay. I tried it once, and I felt the energy, and it was a different type of energy than what I used. but he's able to use it to make fabulous forms of jewelry. All right, let's go back to you. Okay, now this one, yeah, hey, Metatron, contacting science, but he has a lot of bodily problems. And he just does his diet so bad. He has high blood pressure, eye problems, lethargy. And in spite of all of that, he has a little angel on his left shoulder that's telling him about how they can do things in the world. So that's what happened.
For Metatron.
Metatron. Oh, okay. Well, different people, I read things through the internet. I say, that's not done. Metatron is a collector. It's not just one person. They come to the planet, they're very mechanicist and scientific, they're very fact-oriented. They usually end up as, let's see, a small group, 5 or 10 people, and they're very direct. They tell you, do this and do that, and you make this invention, and this is what you need. I mean, that's the kind of just fact. And they usually wear black suits, even the women, and most of the time they're co-ed, but sometimes it's all male or all female, usually it's co-ed. And that's where Tesla people, I turned to the question, Tesla people were can't think in here when he asked us, are you getting your information for your inventions from Metatron? He said, yes. And just like that. It's like, of course.
And this Tesla the Carta thing? I'm Tesla the Carta thing?
No, this is before Tesla the Carta. This is Tesla science, raw science. Done before they finally decided to make the car. That's what I feel out. And so that's what I mean. The Tesla Society, and then try your familiar with the Tesla Society. So, okay, yes, in the back.
Yes, I have a question. So I completely agree that we are all floating in all kinds of ways around this. But and we know as a principle of creation of universe, one of the fundamental principles is principle of opposites. So there is negative influence, which could be positive for another being, another civilization, but it could be considered negative and destructive for this life form. So, and then we also know that, Dracos, for example, have negative energy and they're very strong. They can control really our behavior, our thoughts. So how do we know, it is something we feel around us? Is it a positive thing? Should I embrace it or no? Should I be careful with it?
Yes. Well, that's a very relevant question. And it's very important. Are you kind of intuitive here?
I think little, maybe.
Okay. I talked about frequency and vibration and waves. And first of all, you have to really, really trust yourself. And this takes practice. There are a couple of questions we usually ask. Can I do this? Should I do this? This is the right thing to do. And we ask that when we're working with evils, when we're working with trying to find minerals on the ground or water or something. And what you have to do is trust your intuition. But you need a pendulum, you need a dowsing rod as an aid to do this, just to demonstrate and exaggerate it's that neural, psychic, physical connection to your nervous system. And we don't realize how important our nervous system is. But the central nervous system down the spine, we talk about chakras, we talk about safely, but we talk about it in a disconnected way. Now, in your case, it's hard, and it's a very relevant question because what do? Do I tell this person they're ill and they're going to die, or do I not? Yeah. Does this person really want to know the truth or not? Yeah. Is this what's happening here going to really, really happen for death eventually, even though it seems really dark now? And you have to be really careful about attitude. So it's like, if I do tell this person, or if I don't tell this bad person, it doesn't matter. I'll just turn and walk away. And I think the saddest incidents I have had for myself is when I don't tell somebody something's going to happen. When I don't tell somebody to do something that they should be doing. It's like that. You have to be really careful. Yes.
So when you tell somebody, you're planting the seed and actually getting this like manifest.
Yes. Yes. Like, oh, you're going to have an accident in the car. Like, do I tell them they're going to have an accident? Because if I'm planting a seed that they're going to have an accident, is that going to be a good idea? Maybe they should get really paranoid and look everywhere for an accident to happen. Yes, that's something you have to think about. It's difficult. I bless them. I turn it over to higher power. That's what I do in your case as well. I say, okay, this is too complicated for me to figure out. It's sort of like how many stars or how many living planets are there in the universe. It's too many for me to figure out. I turn it over to higher powers. I turn it over to whatever your sense of deity is, or the cosmic wisdom, if you want to call it that. One man said to me, he says, I don't like this idea of reincarnating to another human or reincarnating to a mouse. He says, but I can understand when I go, my energy is going to live on. And maybe I'll be in another star. Maybe I'll go someplace else in the universe. But my essence, my solar energy is going to live on. Because energy, it can neither be created nor destroyed. And our souls are energy. So you think of that, it's eternal. Life is eternal. And you think of that in that way. So let it go. Let it go to someplace else in the universe. Frankly, I'm looking forward to going someplace else and seeing what's happening out there in the universe. And I don't need to do it in the human body. I expect I'll be furnished an appropriate life form someplace else. This one works here pretty well, works here, but maybe it wouldn't work anywhere else. And why should I try really hard and have my country spend all of the billions of dollars on trying to get human life forms to exist on another planet? I just go there in spirit. Yeah, that's quick. That's easy. That's real for me. That's real. Okay, but we're ending here that I think, I'm over time. We did answer a few questions.
We'll
Okay.
open it up to a few questions, and then we can extend by maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring a microphone so we can capture what you have to say. I'll just stand over here with you. If you want to ask Judith any questions, come on over this way. I'll bring the mic to you because there's like 27 people here.
I'm pretty loud though. So I have this, I call this the theory, and I always, kind of joke about it with Mark Antonio, who's an astronomer and the scientific mind. When we talk about speed, he says what science says today, thinks that the fastest speed is the speed of light. But from what I understood from quantum physics and entanglement, I have my theory that the speed of consciousness is the fastest and beats speed of light. But I don't know what you think or other people have any thoughts about this.
Well, do we actually, what I said earlier about consciousness or thoughts are instantaneous. And I believe that as far as entanglement and quantum, I think it's a matter of, are you receptive enough? Are you permeable enough to pick up the information from elsewhere? Are you strong enough in your own mind to be focused enough to send it clear thoughts? That's where the human part of the equation comes in. So you're absolutely right. It's instantaneous. It could be to another galaxy, and don't question the fact that we're getting information from other galaxies and other planets. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Anybody else? There we go. Pass the mic to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Judith. I was going to ask about your husband's experience, and you said he was a pilot. And I do know another pilot who was in the Air Force who he said it was a UFO experience. So it's first about your husband's experience. Okay. Ross, I knew him. Actually, he was retired. I knew his first flight took him for about 25 years. And he had been so conditioned by being in armed services that he was very reluctant to share any of his experience. But when you fly the plane, you're aware of all kinds of aerial phenomena that is not spoken about. And I realized that, if you now I have filing cabinets and boxes full of his correspondence and stuff, but I haven't had the time to go through it. I've ordered and help with that. And he will look up at the control and he'll say, the ETs are responsible for some of it. And I'll say, why do you think that? And he says, well, and then you have to sit down, just like that, sit down. Well, I'll start to explain it, and then, no, can't talk about that. So, there is that, and I do have other experiences, but I've run out of time. Any other questions?
We have time for just one more question, if you guys have any.
Matt just hand what's question. I don't need those micro.
It's just for the video people back home. Maybe your friend that wants to hear your question in a month from now.
I just want to say, can you see my aura and what do you see? And I'm going to open books to just stay with him.
Soften it up a little, Judith.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I see everything. In fact, people have called me the woman with the eyes who see everything. And I've had psychics sit there and watch, listen, watch and scan and paint. And all of a sudden I start translating and you think, oh my God, I didn't want you to see that. I'm making up and run out the interview. But then I have people, I had one older lady, she knew she was ready to depart. She went out of her body, the grass. And there was an angel type of figure with the wings wrapped around her like this. And I painted that. And she said, that's what I wanted to know. They're ready to receive me. So, most people know when they're to go. A lot of people do. As far as looking at you right now, I usually don't share this in public. I can tell you some basic things, but I don't think I have time for that. So many of us, there'll be a light here and a light there, and there'll be a dark streak here, and you're backlit by the sun, and there's a glow, a physical aura glow around you, but it's not, right now, it's not very wide. It's only about this wide. It could be better. Are you low on energy these days?
Quite a bit.
Okay. Well, it's not gone. I mean, it's there. It's not gone. Sometimes people don't have any, but not much. So you need to take better care of yourself and take some vitamins maybe. And, we're all under stress. All this is all very, very stressful stuff that's going on in the way. You need to shield yourself more project. I use prayer a lot. I also use objects that give me strength, like talisman. So, I did a private interview last time I mentioned it. There. Okay?
Let's give it up for Judith Jubb.
Thanks for listening.